This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song.
I am Abigail, and this is Sean, and we're so glad that you turned this on and welcomed us into your home, and you are welcome into our home. We're in Dayton, Ohio. We're in Sean's parents' house.
My parents' house.
Sean's parents' house. We were in Louisville when the shit hit, and we packed our 3-year-old into a car. We drove kind of far. We drove here, and we've been so lucky and blessed to be safely here. And we thought we'd be here for like 10 days, tops.
What did we know?
What did we know?
What
did we know? We thought we knew a lot. We thought we knew a lot. Keep going on song. This is a keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. This is a keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. And we've been mostly healthy. We've been okay. Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay? I hope your body is whole tonight. And if your heart is breaking, I hope it's breaking open. And if your breath is shaking, I hope it's shaking through. And I hope that you've watched a lot of really great television, like a lot of it. And I hope that you find a hand lotion that actually makes your skin feel better. And I hope that you have enough to eat. I hope you're getting enough sleep, and I hope you have enough good company or enough good memory to last you a long time. Keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. We sing the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. Let's bring some joy into the room, why not? We can try it, or some rage, and some grief and relief. Ooh, I hope my rage, I pray my rage is a fire that cleans my mind out and makes me ready to listen. I pray my pain is a river that flows to the ocean that connects my pain to yours. And I pray my happiness is like pollen that flies to you and pollinates your joy. Oh boy, is that possible? I don't know. We are making this up as we go. We have to make it up as we go. The keep going song, the keep going song. Oh, we're making it up. We're making it up as we go. Keep going on. Keep going on song. And I pray that when we meet again, that the world has changed into the world that we are imagining now together. And I pray that the world has become the world that we're planting inside of ourselves for each other and for our ancestors and for our kids. Ooh, and we're gonna start. This is a rough beginning. That's all I've got is a rough beginning to offer you. We're gonna start by singing some songs in this tiny space together. We're just gonna sing some songs for you, and we hope that when you hear them, you will feel a little bit less alone, and we will feel a little bit less alone in the work and in the hurt, and we will be together tonight somehow, whenever this is, wherever this is. We will be together tonight. for the keep going on. Keep going on song. This is a keep going on. Keep going on song. This is a keep going on. Keep going on song. This is a keep going on. Keep going.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to United First Parish Church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey, welcome to our Unitarian Universalist spiritual community. We are delighted to welcome anyone who may be visiting us today. You can learn more about our community by going to our website, www.ufpc.org. My name's April Bargoot, and I am your worship associate this morning. Our worship leaders on screen and behind the screen are Jamie Grassman and Fiona Stanke. We're pleased to welcome our community minister today, the Reverend Dr. Michelle Walsh. She is our online pulpit this morning as our guest preacher. The order of service for this morning can be downloaded from our UFPC website at ufpc.org. And we'll also be pasting hymn lyrics in the chat as we go, and they're also will be showing on your screen. For our online worship services, we invite you to go ahead and leave your video on so that we might see one another in the gallery view, even though we are physically apart. Note that we are recording this morning's service to be posted on YouTube at a later date. So if you would prefer not to be seen in the recording, please turn off your video. Also, if you are having a poor connection at any point during the service, you may need to turn off your video. We invite everyone to stay online after the service for our virtual social hour. This morning, our social hour will include the option of breakout groups to reflect on the theme of today's service. We have a few announcements this morning. Our ongoing weekly programs include the following. Every week, our Director of Religious Education, Joan McDonald, creates a children's chapel service for families to watch in their own time. Those videos can be found on the religious education page of our UFPC website. We'll paste the link of this into the chat. Every Thursday afternoon, we host a Black Lives Matter standout from 3:30 to 5:30 on the front steps of the church. We hope you will join us as we bring this moral message to the heart of Quincy. A few of our upcoming programs include the fact that next Sunday is our annual remembrance service where we honor our beloved dead. This year, rather than making a remembrance altar in our sanctuary, we are asking folks to email pictures of your loved ones to Joan McDonald or Reverend Rebecca to include in a slideshow within the service. I believe the deadline to send those pictures is next Wednesday, October 28th. Next Sunday is the end of daylight savings time. Remember to set your clock back 1 hour. Check our weekly announcements, which were emailed to you on Thursday, to learn about more of our upcoming programs. Now, let us center ourselves for worship by taking a deep breath together, feeling the spirit of life and love that moves within, between, and beyond us all.
Let's join together now in a mutual call to worship. The words are on your screen. They also will be in the order of service that was sent out to you. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, we believe in the priesthood and the prophethood of all believers. So thus we call each other to worship always. Let us join together in these words by Marnie Harmony. We whose journeys are always beginning, we whose mission always awaits us, we whose visions are bent on loving, we gather together this morning. We gather as a community drawn together out of a common need, each toting our own carpet bag of treasures and dreams. We gather together seeking our own meanings, yearning for life in all its dimensions, as it challenges and expands, as it burdens, as it consoles and heals. We gather in these moments to drink from the common cup. We gather in together with questions, the kinds of questions that provoke us to the path of action. We gather with hope, the kind of hope that pulses on through uncertainty. We gather with tenderness, the kind of tenderness that can only be born from knowing both imperfection and earnest effort. We gather with openness, an openness that is wakeful to possibilities and equally discerning and gentle in judgments. We gather then unbounded, but close. We gather thirsting, we gather, drawn to our source. Amen.
If you have a chalice or candle at home, we encourage you to go ahead and kindle the flame in your own home as we light our chalice, symbol of the Unitarian Universalist faith tradition. Join me in reading our congregants' covenant.
We actually have words for the lighting of our chalice. So let us first say these words together from our home. And April, if you can see the words on the screen, why don't you join in reading the lighting of our chalice words?
Okay. Recognizing the beauty around us and within us, in voice and spirit, we gather to light our chalice. May we savor the beauty of our abundance and diversity, always cherishing one another and our earth. May we remember to inhale the lushness in life, knowing that we are a people of beauty. Now, please join me as we say together and to each other our UFPC covenant. As a free fellowship of this historic church, we unite to lift our hearts and open our minds to a larger reality, to accept, support, and encourage one another, to seek the wisdom in all religions, to cherish and sustain the web of life, and to strive for justice, compassion, and peace. Now, let us raise our voices in song to sing hymn number 361, which was in our hymnal at church, entitled Enter, Rejoice, and Come In.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day, and to rejoice and come in.
Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be with you again today. I have a short story to share with you. It comes from this book called Hide and Seek with God, and it is entitled Seeing God with an Inner Eye. So this is a message for all ages. And just invite you just to sit back and relax and listen to this story. Once there was a child who wanted to see God. She said to one of her friends, "I want to see God. Do you know where I can see God?" Her friend said, "I heard some people say that God is in the earth. Why don't you look at the earth?" So the child went outside and sat down on some rocks. She looked at the earth all around her. While she was looking, she saw a chipmunk come and carry away a seed. And she saw a cat hiding in the leafy shadows of the trees. But after she had looked for some time, she said, "I don't see God." She went to another friend and said, "I want to see God. Do you know where I can see God?" That friend told her, "I heard some people saying that God is in heaven. Why don't you look in the sky?" So the child lay down on the earth and looked up at the sky. While she was looking, she saw clouds and sunshine. And as day turned to night, she saw stars and the moon. But after she had looked all that time, she said, "I still don't see God." So she went to a third friend and said, "I want to see God. Do you know where I can see God?" Her friend said, "I heard some people say that building down the street is the house of God. Why don't you look there?" So she went to that building and went inside and looked all around. She saw candles glimmering and people sitting quietly in the silence and other people bringing cans of food for hungry people. But after she had looked all around, she said, "I still don't see God." So she went back home saying to herself, "I don't think you can see God. God must be invisible." A few nights later, while she was sleeping, she heard a voice as she dreamed. The voice said, "Are you the child who wants to see God?" "Yes, I am," she said in her dream, "but I've already looked everywhere." "Well," the voice replied, "maybe it isn't where you looked, but how you looked." "What do you mean?" "Well, did you use your ordinary eyes or did you use your inner eye?" I I guess I used my ordinary eyes. What's an inner eye? I don't think I have one." "Oh, yes, you do," the voice explained. "Everyone has an inner eye. You just need to learn how to use it." "Where is my inner eye?" the child asked. "Some people say it is where your heart is, and some people say it is in your mind. Others say it is the eye you see with in your dreams. Each of us has to find out for ourselves where our inner eye is. But everyone has one, if they just take time to find it. Will I really see God if I use my inner eye? The child asked. Try it and see, the voice said. And then all was quiet. The next day, the child eagerly got up and set out once again to see God. She went outside and again sat on the earth. She closed her ordinary eyes and concentrated on seeing the earth with her inner eye. After a while, she saw God in the rocks and the plants and the animals. Then she lay down and looked up at the heavens. Again, she closed her ordinary eyes and concentrated on seeing the heavens with her inner eye. And she saw God in the cloud and the sun and the moon and the stars. Again, she walked to the house of God and went in. She sat quietly and closed her ordinary eyes and concentrated on seeing the house of God with her inner eye. She saw that God was in the quiet and in the love of the people. I do have an inner eye, the girl said happily to herself. Now I can see God in the earth and in the skies and in the quiet and in the love of people. God is in everything. I can see God in everything when I see with my inner eye. Blessed be.
We drink from wells we did not dig, and we sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. As recipients of all we have received from those who have come before us, we are called to share our abundance with those who will come after us. As a voluntary association, our church is sustained through the gifts of the members and friends of this congregation. Your generosity makes it possible for us to hold online worship services, workshops, and small groups, even in these unusual times. Your generosity allows us to be faithful stewards of our historic building so that it will continue to be a place of sanctuary and learning when it is once again safe to gather in person. Your generosity helps us strive for justice and live our congregation's values in the wider world. Please take this moment to visit our website and consider clicking on the donate button located on the homepage of our website, ufpc.org. Let us open our hearts as these gifts to support the good works of United First Parish Church are joyfully given and gratefully received.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the dark night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. You are like no other being. What you can give, no other can give. To the future of our precious children, to the future of the world where we live. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way. On the road from greed to giving, love will guide us through the dark night. Hear the song of peace within you. Heed the song of peace in your heart. Spring's new beginning will lead to the harvest. Love will guide us on our way, on our way. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way. On the road from greed to giving, love will guide us through the dark night.
Let us take a deep breath together as we open our hearts for the sharing of our joys and sorrows. This is a time to briefly share the life milestones that lift your spirits in joy or hope, or the pains and losses that fill you with heartache. As we enter this time of sharing, we light a candle of joy, knowing that a joy shared is a joy magnified. And we also light a candle of sorrow, knowing that a sorrow shared is a sorrow diminished. If you wish to acknowledge a sorrow or joy from your heart, I invite you to raise your hand and unmute your mic when our digital usher, Fiona Sankey, calls you by name. Let us open our hearts to one another. As we end our sharing, we light a final candle representing all the joys and sorrows we hold silently in our hearts. May the light of these candles and the compassion of this community remind us that wherever we are on our journeys, we are each worthy of love and we are each able to love.
I invite everybody just to find a comfortable way to sit, to mute yourselves if you're not already muted, and then just to enter into a space of meditation and prayer now. For those of you who know me, you know that I lead a Zen Buddhist style meditation first, and then I follow it with spontaneous prayer. So again, just find a comfortable way to sit wherever you're located. And take a breath. And just notice the breath moving through your body. And comes in cool and it's warmed by our bodies on exhale. And take a moment to notice right now that your body is touching something that is supporting you, that is holding you. And just rest in the knowledge that you are being supported or held right now in this physical contact. Just return to your breath. Notice if there are any parts of your body that are holding tension, soreness, and just invite those parts of your body to relax if they're willing. And breathe into those parts. If they aren't willing or they can't, that's okay. Just offer them the opportunity to relax. You may want to move your neck, shrug your shoulders, just to let a little more tension go from those areas. And let the muscles of your face soften and relax. Let your forehead soften and relax. Let your eyes close if they haven't, or just drop down into a soft focus. And if you can, just let a soft half smile come to your lips as I invite our bell to sound 3 times, and then we'll sit quietly for a moment together, and then I'll invite the bell to sound again. God, Goddess of many names and no names, many genders and no genders, and whom we often recognize in our Unitarian Universalist tradition as a precious and mysterious spirit of life and love that moves in us and among us, around us, and out into our larger world. We are grateful this morning to be together, including in this new form, how we remain connected to each other on Sunday mornings and at other times during the week, in all the ways that our values and our faith tradition shape us and motivate us to bring forth a sense of care for each other and for our larger world and community. We are grateful this morning also for everyone who labors so hard during these times to help with these services on Sunday mornings and to keep the church going and surviving and thriving, even during challenging times, so that we may be a witness to each other and to our larger world. We hold in our hearts that we are waiting and waiting and waiting and looking towards what is coming next. Knowing we are ready, knowing we are prepared, knowing we have done everything we possibly can to keep our values alive. We hold in our hearts those who are with us today and those who cannot be with us, those who are celebrating birthdays, healing, and those who cannot be with us because they are ill or have suffered an injury. We hold everyone in our hearts and minds this morning. And because our faith teaches us to be large, we hold in our hearts all who are suffering in our larger country, our larger world, from violence, from injustice, from hunger, from fear of loss of home and safety, from illness in this pandemic, and from the losses of separation in these times, the loss of the ability to be physically together. We know that it is okay and necessary to grieve the losses and to recognize that we are a faithful and strong people. And together, we will find a way and build a new way together. May it always be so. Blessed be. Amen. I invite us to join together now in a musical meditation prayer. The words are on your screen in your orders of service as well as in the YouTube. Oops. Sorry. There you go.
Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness care. essence hold, the essence let, the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony.
I have a reading to share. It's from a little book called Voices from the Margins. That's an anthology of meditations by Black, Indigenous people of color in our Unitarian Universalist tradition. And this one is by Jackie Clement. It's called Faith and Belief. Last summer, my husband John and I were canoeing in New Hampshire. At the end of a trip around the lake, I climbed out of the canoe first, had 1 foot in the lake and 1 foot in the canoe. That's when things went wrong. While taking my foot out of the canoe, I caught my heel on the edge. Losing my balance, I instinctively reached for the most solid thing within my grasp, the canoe. There are times when grabbing onto what appears most solid and stable is exactly the wrong thing to do. When I resurfaced, I saw my husband sitting in 1.5 feet of water, fishing for his glasses on the lake bottom. In my attempt to save myself, I took an innocent bystander down as well. I tell this story not to demonstrate my lack of boating experience, but to say that I understand the emotional impetus to grab onto what seems most stable and solid when the world is tipping us off our feet. In religious terms, we might say we are driven to hold ever more tightly to our beliefs when we are under stress. Like grabbing a canoe for stability, depending on belief to keep us from going under is to grasp at the wrong thing. It is not our belief that we need to hold on to, but our faith. Though the two are often taken to mean the same thing, there is a subtle and critical difference. Faith is a deeply seated confidence, vital to our very existence. Belief is only what we think is true, though we wouldn't stake our lives on it. Faith leaves room for mystery. Belief does not. As Albert Einstein wrote in his personal credo, the most beautiful emotion we can experience is the mysterious. Sometimes what seems most solid and stable is only an illusion of stability. Things that appear more ethereal, that may seem to be the toughest to grasp, are in fact the most stable and secure. Love, faith, and community may seem to be intangible ideals, but if nurtured, they can serve as the very bedrock of our lives. Beliefs can fall away, but the things that seem most insubstantial, perhaps because they can be the hardest to come by, have the greatest worth and provide the steadiest base. Blessed be. And here's a little musical interlude gift that goes along with the prelude, the Keep Going song. The Keep Going song is delightful on its own, and this couple decided to do an additional pantomime to the song. So go ahead and enjoy.
This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song.
I am Abigail, and this is Sean, and we're so glad that you've turned this on and welcomed us into your home, and You are welcome into our home. We're in Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton, Ohio.
We're in Sean's parents' house.
My parents' house.
Sean's parents' house. We were in Louisville when the shit hit, and we packed our 3-year-old into a car. We drove kind of far. We drove here, and we've been so lucky and blessed to be safely here. And we thought we'd be here for like 10 days, tops.
What did we know?
What did we know?
What
What did we know? We thought we knew a lot. We thought we knew a lot. Woo! Keep going on song. This is a keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. This is a keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. And we've been mostly healthy. We've been okay. Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay? I hope your body is whole tonight. And if your heart is breaking, I hope it's breaking open. And if your breath is shaking, I hope it's shaking through. And I hope that you've watched a lot of really great television, like a lot of it. And I hope that you find a hand lotion that actually makes your skin feel better. And I hope that you have enough to eat. I hope you're getting enough sleep, and I hope you have enough good company or enough good memory to last you a long time. Keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. We sing the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on.
I'm just pausing for a second on the images. The images will seem familiar for some of you who were with me for a service that I led back in June. This is just to call to mind some of that. Okay, hi everybody. I am really happy to be with you again today. I first will just do a land acknowledgement. I think for our services to do a land acknowledgement is good to recognize that we are on the land of Massachusetts people and many peoples who traveled these lands over time. Not only Massachusetts peoples, but many different peoples. So and we will go a little bit past 11:30 today, and I just want to speak to you from my heart in these times. As a preacher, we often say that we have one theme that we often do many different services around, okay, but we have a core theme that we work with. And as many of you know, I was traveling with the Bob Dylan services, the 3 services in the past. But for me, my sermons tend to originate out of my life experiences, including from childhood, but also the traumas that I was exposed to in urban ministry for many years and justice. So I find that I always arrive at this core identity of being a justice educator and a spiritual companion. And that solidifies more and more as I age. So in my sermons, I do tend to focus on the nature of faith. Faith is really about trust. What do we put our core trust on? And remember a prior sermon in terms of what are the types of faith that sustain us through the shipwreck of life? What is our core trust? And what renews us in terms of spirituality, right? So what renews us, what sustains us, what liberates us and gives us a sense of abundance, particularly in these challenging times, abundance that we can experience on this inner embodied level as well as our outward embodied practices. So this is not an individualized spirituality, and I have preached on that point often. We, as Unitarian Universalists, we trust in love and faith and community, and in connecting to our inner eye of imagination. For us as Unitarian Universalists, I have often claimed, and I continue to claim, that when we speak about the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, that actually is our metaphoric God talk. That's our metaphoric way of understanding the larger than us in which we move and live and have our being. On a personal level, that means that we are interconnected in mind, body, and spirit. And we know this actually from neurophysiological studies. This is all interrelated stuff. It's not separated in terms of the mind and the body and the spirit. We don't reduce one to the other. And for that reason, in terms of personal renewal, it's very important to tap into both mindfulness in these times and a sense of play. Mindfulness and play are equally important. Play as in moving, all right? So mindfulness in terms of our awareness and the spaciousness of our awareness, and play and movement as in where is our vitality in this moment? Where is our embodied sense of our vitality? And that means it's really, really important that we are conscious about cultivating our spiritual practices, particularly in these times. Habits as spiritual practices that put us daily in touch with things, as well as weekly in touch with humor. Okay, touch, physical touch. If you're not actually living with somebody, do you have pets or fur family or plants or things within your home that you can touch, or anything that is soft and gives you a different kind of sense of touch? Being in daily connection with art and a sense of beauty, and movement, embodied practice, whether that's something that you can do in your home or going out for a walk. This is a time in terms of mindfulness and awareness to slow down and appreciate the slowing down aspect of this. And again, movement to be aware of our vitality and our connection. So I shared these two recent YouTubes of the Keep Going On song and the embodied kind of somatic version of them because they touched me deeply recently. I do lots of different kinds of practices in these times to keep myself in touch with humor and renewal and beauty, and finding things like that that bring joy into the space and into the world. I use those with my classes where I'm teaching at Boston University. I try to open all my classes with something that is tapping into a deep wellspring of renewal in the sense of awareness and vitality, and the vitality of bringing joy into the space. And then I had also mentioned in previous sermons, and I'm just to touch back on it, I put the quote up about the charnel ground practice, and I had talked about Pema Chödrön, that for personal renewal, it is important that we remain aware and conscious of what's going on, but to touch in and tap in lightly and with consciousness of when and how you're doing that, because it can be overwhelming if you're allowing yourself to sit all day long or touching in a lot during the day with the larger news of what's going on. It's important to be aware, so be conscious about how you're using your social media, when you're tapping into it, and what you're seeking to draw from it. Okay, and then to move out and into these other spiritual practices for grounding yourself in renewal. And I also had put up today, just to remind you again of that Buddhist tale parable that I shared in the last sermon that I led with you about the man who's being chased by tigers, and he falls over the cliff and he's hanging, and there's a tiger above and a tiger below, and he's right at the imminent point of death, and he sees a luscious strawberry and he reaches out and plucks it. So that's a key, and he enjoys it, and he knows that that's just something beautiful that he tasted in that moment. So that's part of mindfulness, right? The mindful practices that keep us going. And again, I'll just say for those of you who are of the scientific kind of bent, we know from neurophysiology that that actually is what will keep us going in these times. Being very conscious about when we tap into the charnogram and when we tap into the mindfulness, that opens up the space of renewal and joy still being available, still being possible. And when we're attending to our breath, that is when we're actually in the space of being able to slow down. Just take it, your breath in, you can feel it. It moves in your body. And it opens up some spaciousness there. Right? Spaciousness comes with the breath. It makes space. We're bringing something in. We're being filled. And as I said, right now, even we're being helped by something. So slowing down, being with our body, that's where we begin to tap into the spaciousness that leads to a personal sense of abundance that's available for the personal renewal. Now, so that's enough reminding, okay, and deepening into that. The other piece is that the personal and the collective of liberation are intertwined. So we first need to be available for ourselves, and then we can be available with others. And Lila Watson, who is an Indigenous activist in Australia, you have heard this phrase, I'm sure. She writes, if you come here to help me, you are wasting your time. If you come here to waste me, you are wasting your time. But if you have come because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let us work together. Then let us work together. So the collective liberation is not about helping other people, and also helping other people to the point where you have sacrificed yourself so that you can't even be anymore, okay? It is about joining together with others and knowing your place and your particular gifts that you have to offer in this time. And really letting go into that, relaxing into that. Yes, we need the analysis, okay? And there is action is needed, all right? And we need the inner eye of imagination to imagine a better world and to work towards that. But if we go back to remembering that our God language is that interdependent web of existence of which we are a part, don't forget that little thing that says of which we are a part, okay? Each of us is a very unique and beautiful element of that strand in that web. And we need to respect our bodies, respect our hearts and minds, our spirits, all of that, and find those places of renewal so that we can then bring forth our best gifts towards the collective liberation that is needed. I don't think I will ever forget when I was part of Boston Occupy, seeing painted on the wall of Boston Occupy, one of the walls there where the tent site was, this phrase that said, "Occupy is my antidepressant." Occupy is my antidepressant. So there's nothing wrong with medication and needing medication and stuff. And I just want to hone in on the point that it is by being part of a collective movement that we do find a sense of renewal of possibilities, but also witnessing to our place in that and what are our gifts that we can give to that. Because then it's about a community rather than the ego of the one. It's about the many. We are one of many. And this is all part of, and we've talked about the importance and the significance of the Commission on Institutional Change report from the Unitarian Universalist Association, and how we are trying to dismantle structures of white supremacy. Well, a large part of white supremacy culture is what has damaged all of us. Okay? It's not just all the struggles things that have happened to one group of people, it is actually about how it is damaging to all of us. So the culture that has been developed over time as a domination theology, a domination practice, you need to be perfect. We have this scarcity mentality. You have to fight for what you what you can get in this world. Individualism. It's a sense of urgency that comes. And yes, everything is urgent, it all is. And there's a way to be thoughtful if everyone slows down and pays attention to what is truly important. And recognizing and honoring that no one of us has the answers to everything. We have to be part of a collective in this. And no one of us knows when the tipping point will be. But we can witness out there in the world all these different movements. And I've said that before, to pay attention, to be mindful in your social media engagement, that you are paying attention to where the bright lights are. The folks who are bringing joy and liberation and the movements that are happening around that. So to be mindful in your engagement of the social media so that you are feeding your soul in this and you are seeing the possibilities that are out there. There is a Jungian psychiatrist named Clarissa Pinkola Estes. Some of you may be familiar with her work from other arenas. And she writes, hold on a second, let me get my, oh, I put it here. You may be familiar when she writes Women Who Run with Wolves, but she's done lots of great little little recordings, A Dangerous Old Woman. She wrote a longer piece when we went through the election in 2016. And in the day after the election in 2016, she wrote an open-hearted letter to activists who were troubled by these times. And I'm just going to read a little portion of what she wrote from then. It was from a longer letter by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And she wrote, "In any dark time, there is a tendency to veer toward fainting over how much is wrong or unmended in the world. Do not focus on that. Do not make yourself ill with overwhelm. There is a tendency too to fall into being weakened by or perseverating on what is outside your reach, by what cannot yet be. Do not focus there. That is bending the wind without raising the sails. It is not given to us to know which acts or by whom will cause the critical mass to tip forward toward an enduring good. What is needed for dramatic change is an accumulation of acts, adding to, adding more, continuing. We know that it does not take everyone on earth to bring justice and peace, but only a small determined group who will not give up during the first, second, or 100th gale. One of the most calming and powerful acts you can do to intervene in a stormy world is to stand up and show your soul. Soul on deck shines like gold in dark times. The light of the soul throws sparks, can send up flares, builds signal fires, causes proper matters to catch fire. To display the lantern of soul in shadowy times like these, to be fierce and to show mercy toward others, both are acts of immense bravery and greatest necessity. Struggling souls catch light from other souls who are fully lit and willing to show it. If you would help to calm the tumult, this is one of the strongest things you can do." So show your soul, show your light. That is part of the collective liberation process. And knowing that what you do is enough, there is enough, we are enough, and the tipping points are coming. So I will close by saying that cultivating renewal, liberation, abundance comes from practices of deep gratitude. And for deep gratitude, There needs to be mindfulness of the moment and consciousness of what you are mindful of and what you are taking in. And it involves radical self and communal care, prioritizing yourself and prioritizing your community. And then practices of very deep self and other forgiveness. Now, in churches, sometimes we struggle with this forgiveness of others, actually, and sometimes we struggle in our families with forgiveness of others. But actually, part of it comes with forgiveness of self first. And from that also is a spaciousness and grace that becomes available. And I'll just say, particularly for right now, families, I am so in awe of the struggle that parents are going through right now, parents of any child in the home and trying to be simultaneously a school teacher and a caretaker. Parents of very, very young children. You are doing the essential work, and please find the moment to forgive yourself when things don't go as you would like, when you find yourself yelling or getting stressed out. Perhaps also folks here who may be yelling at partners or spouses at times. Okay, ministers, this happens for ministers. Ministers are not perfect people. We have messy family situations sometimes too. Okay, it's important to really, in those moments, pull back, be with yourself, know the weight of what you're carrying right now and what everyone is carrying. Forgive yourself and begin again. And acknowledge, just take ownership. It goes a long way with kids, and it goes a long way with our partners and our families, okay? Just take ownership when something, we act out from something that was more about us than about them. Okay? And so just taking ownership, or as a parent with a child, if you can let them know, that was more about me in that moment, and I'm really sorry. That actually is really excellent role modeling and a great spiritual practice in and of itself in these times. Okay? We need to grieve. We need to create that space that comes from grieving and from releasing the grief. And we need to move and find our vitality. And all of this is because as human beings, we're actually very simple. We're very basic, of course, right now. We would feel depressed, we would feel overwhelmed, we would feel angry, we would feel anxious, we would be snapping and fragile. We're vulnerable. All of us, we are vulnerable together. As human beings, we are very bodily made. We are very simple creatures. Okay? And just deepening into that and knowing, recognizing the of course and the normalness of this, and beginning again with mindfulness, consciousness of your mindfulness practices, what you're taking in, creating the spaciousness for vitality and movement. And for this, I think it always is really good to remember the poem by a Unitarian Universalist named Robert Fulham, when he wrote, all I really need to know, I learned in kindergarten. And I'm going to close by just reading a couple of snippets from that poem. And he wrote, all I really need to know, I learned in kindergarten. All I really need to know about how to live and what to do and how to be, I learned in kindergarten. Wisdom was not at the top of the graduate school mountain, but there in the sand pile at Sunday school. These are the things I learned. Share everything, play fair, don't hit people, put things back where you found them, clean up your own mess, don't take things that aren't yours, say you're sorry when you hurt somebody, wash your hands before you eat, flush, warm cookies and cold milk are good for you, live a balanced life, learn some and think some, and draw and paint and sing and dance and play and work every day, some. Take a nap every afternoon. When you go out into the world, watch out for traffic, hold hands and stick together. Be aware of wonder. Remember the little seed in the styrofoam cup. The roots go down and the plant goes up. And nobody really knows how or why, but we are all like that. Everything you need to know is in there somewhere. The golden rule and love and basic sanitation, ecology and politics and equality and sane living. Take any of those items and extrapolate it into your sophisticated adult terms and apply it to your family life or your work or your government or your world, and it holds true and clear and firm. Think what a better world it would be if the whole world had cookies and milk about 3 o'clock every afternoon and then lay down with our blankies for a nap. Or if all governments had a basic policy to always put things back where they had found them and to clean up their own mess. And it is still true, no matter how old you are, when you go out into the world, it is best to hold hands and stick together. I hope that for all of us to remember the wisdom in those words. Blessed be. And let's join together now from your homes in the song Building a New Way. The lyrics are in your orders of service as well as here on your screen. And it comes from our teal hymnal.
We are building a new way.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We can feed on every need. We can feed on every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed on every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, our world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. A new way, a new way, a new
And let's join together from your homes in a mutual benediction to one another. Go in peace, live simply, gently, at home in yourselves. Act justly, speak justly. Remember the depth of your own compassion. Forget not your power in the days of your powerlessness. Do not desire to be wealthier than your peers and stint not your hand of charity. Practice forbearance. Speak the truth or speak not. Take care of yourselves as bodies, for you are a good gift. Crave peace for all people in the world, beginning with yourselves. and go as you go with the dream of that peace alive in your heart. And let's join together also in a unison extinguishing of the chalice with these words written by Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And let us sing together, as is our custom here at United First Parish Church. For our postlude, we have another version of We Are Building a New Way with some images and words.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. Feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Free of hate, greed, and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom, that is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world would die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
Please join us for social hour. We will meet in some small breakup groups and discuss some questions that you'll find on the Zoom chat. We can discuss questions such as, what are your spiritual practices during these times? Where are you finding comfort during these challenging times? Thank you, everyone. It was lovely seeing all of you.